Alright, what's going on, everybody? We're here with another review, where I take a movie, or anything really, take something, I look at the reviews, and then we review the reviews. Pretty simple concept. For those of you who might have seen the last video where I went over The Professor, today we're going over The Mustang. This is a movie fairly new, just came out. Watched it yesterday or 2 days ago, something like that. So essentially, the plot of the movie, I'll just read it here for you quick, is a violent convict is given the chance to participate in a rehabilitation therapy program centered around the training of wild Mustangs. It was released on March 15th. The director is, okay, I'm going to try, Laure de Clermont Tonnerre. You can read the director's name right there. Made 5 million USD in box office so far. The producer was Elaine Goldman, and the production companies is Canal Plus, U Media, Cineplus, Nexus Factory, and Legend 3D. So we, just like last time, we'll kick it off with. I think we started with Rotten Tomatoes last time. Rotten Tomatoes has it at 94%, which is pretty good. So we'll go ahead and see what we got going on here. So tomato meter 94%, and then the audience score has it at 76%, and I can sort of guess so far why that might be. um, so more in-depth movie info. Roman, who's played by Matthias Schoenaerts, sorry, I can't pronounce names, a convict in a rural Nevada prison who struggles to escape his violent past, is required to participate in an outdoor maintenance program as part of his state mandated social rehabilitation. Spotted by a no nonsense veteran trainer played by Bruce Dern, and helped by an outgoing fellow inmate and trick rider Jason Mitchell, Roman is accepted into the selective wild horse training section of the program, where he finds his own humanity in gentling an especially unbreakable Mustang. Rated R. Runtime 96 minutes. Studio focused features. You can see who wrote it. Directors right here. And it's a pretty good movie. So for the cast, the main character, Roman Coleman, played by Matthias, as we already talked about. His psychologist is Connie Britton. Miles, who is played by Bruce Dern, that's sort of his mentor in the movie, sort of. He's the one that they were saying was the veteran guy who's one of the main characters. Gideon Adlin plays Martha, and that's his daughter in the movie. And Josh Stewart as Dan, who is the antagonist in the movie. Every movie is gonna have an antagonist. So critics' reviews for the Mustang. Let's start off here. We have Adam Graham from Detroit News, who starred as a top critic. There's a Disney movie in here somewhere, but Clermont Tonnerre has no interest in it. She's too busy steering her own course, and it works. Yeah, I'll agree with that one. I don't think I really need to explain that one too much. James Berardinelli from Real Views. It's worth seeking out as both a portrait of a prison program few are aware of and a powerful character study. I'm going to agree with that 100%. The main character would be really good for a character study. He's one of those guys, obviously not going to spoil anything, but one of those guys who... I forgot the term for it. Not Stockholm Syndrome. Man, that's going to bother me. But he is institutionalized. He's really institutionalized. There is a moment in the movie where they kind of not really hint at it. They kind of like throw that one at you. It's a conversation between him and his daughter, or a letter. I forgot exactly off the top of my head. But yeah, he's institutionalized, and he's been in, I think he said in the movie, like 12 years he's been in prison. And you do get a little bit of the story about what happened. It was like sort of he's sitting in an anger management class in prison, and they're going around, and they have this really nice scene where it's showing a bunch of the convicts, and the lady leading the group asks them how long between the thought of the crime and the actual crime. And like it skips between people saying like 1 second and 22 seconds, 30 seconds, 10 seconds, things like that, where it was one of those moments where like it kind of really highlights a couple moments from like one bad impulse decision can change like the entire course of your life. And it really makes you, it really made me feel for, I mean, even though they're actor portrayals of inmates, it's one of those things where, especially if you are a previous inmate of any sort, I think you'll be able to really relate to this movie pretty hard. Next, we have Peter Coe from Boston Globe. It is handsomely shot, affectingly acted, and narratively predictable. I don't know too much about predictable. There were a few things in the movie that were very predictable, but for the most part, you do get caught a little bit off with a couple scenes where I was honestly like, ooh, like where I would have thought like, oh, this is how it's gonna play out, and then that's like not how it played out at all. Next, we have Soren Anderson from the Seattle Times. A stringent tale of a struggle for redemption. Yeah, yeah, 100%. They did a great job with his character arc from the beginning, where he doesn't care. Not well, I wouldn't say doesn't care. He just bottles it up, kind of thing, where he's like, oh, I'm in prison. He doesn't really care to have redemption, and he loves being in solitary confinement. He'll do whatever it takes to be put into solitary confinement. Like just not really putting any effort into his meeting with his psychologist, purposefully just trying to sabotage himself because he hates being around people and just wants to be left alone. Next, we have Barry Hertz from Globe and Mail. Like Roman, though, all I longed for were further glimpses of the life outside, where man and beast roam free, oblivious to any narrative demands. I like that they did not show any further glimpses of life outside. There was one scene where they got to go off prison grounds with all the horses because they needed to like get them used to like obviously running and stuff, because the whole program is the horses, they get like 5 weeks to break these wild mustangs, and essentially at the end of the 5 weeks there's an auction, and the people who show up to the auction for the most part are border patrol, law enforcement, maybe some other people who just want to get a new horse or something. But they kind of hinted that most of the horses were going to end up being used for some sort of law enforcement, especially down at the border. So that's sort of what they were kind of trying to train them to get used to. There's a lot of running and chasing. And there's one scene where they have everybody running or riding together with their horses, and like they're all just like, they're smiling, they're happy, they just feel this like unending joy coming out of them. And even Roman, who beginning of the movie like never showed emotion, was kind of quiet, reserved, just keeping to himself, kind of bottled up angry for everything in his life, he even starts to like crack a smile. And there's the one guy who is like what I've read earlier about the trick rider. He was like laughing and happy the entire movie though, so he was like the only one that like I expected that out of. But it was a really good scene. I love the way they filmed it. We have Andrea Granval. This film was developed at Robert Redford's Sundance Institute Lab for Emerging Talent. He certainly found one in French actress Laure de Clermont-Tonnerre, here making an impressive feature directorial debut. I didn't know it was her debut, actually. That's impressive. That's really impressive. Yeah, no, this, if what I think is what she was going for, if what I imagine what she was going for is what she was going for, I don't know if that made any sense, then she absolutely hit it out of the park. Let's skip down. We'll do one more, and then we'll hit some audience ones and then go to a different website. Let's go with Rob Thomas and the Capital Times. A film that's part gritty prison drama and part uplifting horse movie might seem like a strange mix, but the Mustang makes it work with authentic performances and a stark beauty. 100% gonna agree with that. They did an amazing job. So we got one audience review here from John C., who's a super reviewer. Except for leaving a few plot lines unresolved, the Mustang delivers a very decent and enjoyable time in the dark. Few plot lines unresolved. I don't know what he's referring to with plot lines unresolved. I didn't feel like there were any plot lines on. Okay, no, there was. No, I mean they were. Okay, there's a couple things that like when his daughter comes to visit in the beginning of the movie that they sort of talked about and argued about real quick, but you never hear anything about the topic again. And it was something about the main character's mother, the daughter's grandmother, passes away, or like was already passed away, and apparently left the house to the daughter, and the daughter wanted to sell it, and the dad and like Roman was like no, and it not really a confusing scene, but just one of those things that I think they used primarily to show tension between father and daughter, because later on in the movie, towards the redemption parts, one of his redemptions is trying to redeem himself with his daughter. Like the first time she visits, when he gets up to leave, he says like, "Don't visit here again," and then she ends up coming back. And like later on in the movie, he tries to redeem himself with her. But other than that, I don't think there was any unresolved plot lines. But let's go back and check a different website. Let's try. Let's see what the Washington Post has. Oh, I should have hit IMDb. Actually, we'll do that next. Alright, so here's a movie review from the Washington Post. Get that ad out of there. Okay. A prisoner seeks trying to break a wild horse in the inspirational film The Mustang. So this right here is a picture of exactly the scene I was explaining before, where they all are riding out together through the desert to kind of get the horses some time to just free ride. This is the main character, Roman. She gave it. So this is an article by Anne Hornaday, a movie critic, on March 27th by the on WashingtonPost.com. She gives it 3 out of 4 stars. So she says, The Mustang, a promising debut by writer-director Laura de Clermont, begins with moments of astonishing beauty that quickly give way to alarm. A herd of wild horses quietly doing horsey things on a windswept landscape is suddenly interrupted by a helicopter, which proceeds to guide the terrified animals to a pen where they will be led into a crowded trailer. That's explaining the intro of the movie. It was filmed really, really well, and it did kind of go to show the human aspect of like catching her wild Mustangs to break them for purposes of like farming and law enforcement, all these different things. It was a kind of interesting thing to see. Very well filmed though. Their destination is a prison in the Nevada desert, where an inmate named Roman Coleman has just been transferred out of solitary confinement. Hooded, brooding, and given to sharp bursts of impulsive violence, Roman keeps to himself, much like the magnificent, unmanageable buckskin that, isolated in its own cell, begins to exert a wordless pull on the moody prisoner. That's talking about the horse that he ends up being kind of partnered with the whole movie. He first comes in contact with the horse because they have him in this closed-off shed where all the other horses are just in wide-open pens, and the horse is just beating the door, just kicking it, just pissed off. Soon, Roman and the Mustang, which he names Marcus Marquis and pronounces Marcus, are training together in a program in which prisoners work with wild horses. We've been over this already. Would it shock anyone to learn that Roman begins to heal his own traumatic past through his work with the similarly mercurial Marquis, or that human and animal develop an unbreakable bond through which they both learn to trust and let go? Let go? Question mark. I worded that weird, or pronounced that weird. Isn't that Bruce Dern over there playing the irascible old coot who sees something special in Roman's uncanny rapport with an ungentleable horse? Luckily, the Mustang overcomes its most predictable story beats thanks to de Clermont intimate, unfussy style and quietly captivating performance by Schoenart. I don't know how to pronounce his name. By Roman. There are admittedly one or two on-the-nose moments of parallelism, including one where Roman kicks his cell wall as if he were a headstrong stallion in a stall. Yeah, there are a few moments where they kind of connect Roman to his horse. and he really works through like a lot of anger and impulsivity, especially against the horse. Like for the most part of the movie, he has no patience with the horse. He's pissed off that it won't listen. Let's skip down. Without committing unforgivable spoilers, it's possible to reassure animal and people lovers alike that the Mustang won't reduce them to a totally useless pulp. De Clermont doesn't give us a happy ending exactly, but one that gives her human and equine heroes a fighting chance. Yeah. Yeah, it's not one of those endings where you're going to be like, oh, you know, yay. A little bit of that, depending kind of how much you care about some of the main characters. But for the most part, it was kind of like it was bittersweet. It was bittersweet. That's how I'll put it. It's a bittersweet ending because there's one thing that happens that's like, okay, good, like that was good. But I like that for the most part, it wasn't like a over the top ending. It wasn't really bad. It wasn't really depressing. It was just really normal and what felt natural, which I liked a lot. And to finish up, we'll just check out some other reviews on IMDb, where it's got 7.1 out of 10. Let's go. We'll do a couple user reviews on here, and then we'll do a couple more critic reviews. For the most part, these look pretty high. 7 out of 10. Man and horse figure it out. 10 out of 10. Such an amazing and beautiful story. Matthias was phenomenal. 8 out of 10. Well shot, well acted. Solid 8. 9 out of 10. Interesting story with terrific acting makes this sleeper a must see. 8 out of 10. I'm not good with people. A quote that he says in the movie towards the beginning. 10 out of 10. Great movie. 8 out of 10. Fantastic soul film. Heartfelt. Horse sense versus movie sense. Overall, the Mustang is entertaining if you know little or nothing about how horses really behave. This movie is created to tug at our human hearts at the expense of humane horse management and training. For instance, there is no way that the horse, once released into the wild, will... okay. Let's talk about the ending. Rather, it will find a herd to join up with. Okay. I'm not going to spoil anything. Although if you read that, it spoiled a little bit for you. But at the end of the movie, I don't think between the second to last scenes and the final scene, I think that was supposed to be like the same day. That didn't feel to me like it was a week later or 2 weeks later. Ooh, spoiler warnings. Simply not believable. People don't change that fast and horses don't act that way. The acting was good, but the story is not at all realistic. Nah, Anne. Listen here, Anne. For the most part, that actually is how horses act. And people change at whatever speed they change at. The whole movie takes place between like a 5-week period. So, realistically, within 5 weeks, or something happens to you, and you experience with it through 5 weeks, as this guy met horses, learned how to break horses, trained with this horse, that can change somebody pretty quickly. I don't like you, Anne. I don't like your review. Trash in a movie. You're entitled to your opinion. All right, so let's go through. Let's do Keith Loves Movies by Keith Noax. Let's see what he has to say. So this is KeithLovesMovies.com. Rating summary: 90%. Brilliantly acted character study featuring a subtly powerful and different redemption story. Not everything works, as the slow burn may not be for everyone, but it's beautifully shot and featuring an award-worthy performance from Matthias. Yeah, it is kind of slow sometimes with some less dialogue, more cinematography kind of thing. Let's do one more. Let's do The Rap by Robert Abel. This is therap.com, and he says, Uh, just kind of want to get down to the point of what he said. Too far. The horses magnificently do their part too as co-stars in this redemption saga, mostly because Blank gives them plenty of screen time. To the irritable, sad, manic, desperate, but also begrudging, friendly, spirited, and at peace. It says a lot about where the Mustang stands in this history of man and his horse movies. That when auction day arrives and the camera pans across a line of changed prisoners sitting atop similarly becalmed four-legged hard cases, I found myself scanning the horses' faces to gauge what they were thinking. Yeah. Yeah, I can see that. I did definitely feel a little bit for the horses. Some of the horses seemed like they really... I guess I cannot get off this website. There we go. Okay. Oh God. But no, yeah, I definitely felt that way too. Some of the horses just seemed like they didn't want to go, especially Marcus. Marcus kind of was getting really irritable when it was his time to go up. But I think that'll do it for now. I think you guys get the point that this is a good movie, especially if you just like something to watch. I'm gonna give this personally. I'll give it an 8 out of 10. Just because there were a couple parts that lost me, but they weren't like major things that was like, story breaking or like stupid or anything like that. Just a couple really simple things, mainly with the antagonist. There's something big that happens in the movie with the antagonist that, unless I just wasn't paying attention properly and missed why he did that, because I think the way they filmed scenes with the antagonist and with Roman and something that happens, you kind of get not a clear cut picture of why he did it, but there's like, I was able to kind of put together, but even then I wasn't sure if that was just like how I was interpreting what went down, or if it just wasn't if it just wasn't made clear. I don't know. If you watch the movie, I don't want to put out a spoiler. This is series mostly right now for people who like don't know if they want to watch the movie kind of thing. Maybe from now on I'll change it to just like, hey, if you saw the movie, I'm gonna talk about it. But for now, that's kind of where I'm at. So yeah, 8 out of 10. If you've seen the movie and you enjoyed it, let me know what you think down below in the comments, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care.